Yo, what's going on? We are here with the Preaching Collective, and we are back. This is like it's been a while since we did this.
It's been a minute.
We got Crystal in the building.
Thank you for having me back. Thank you for keeping the seat warm.
She's like, I'm just here so I don't get fined. That's what
funny.
James.
What up?
Pastor V.
Hey, man.
Man, I miss y'all. I miss the Preaching Collective.
Do you really?
I see y'all all the time.
I missed you. We ain't done this in a long time.
Yeah,
Chris, we missed you. You know, you've been.
I missed y'all.
We've been talking about how different it is. You know what I'm saying? You know,
you do bring like a you know what I'm saying, like a different vibe to the room. So
let's talk about that vibe. All right, let's talk about that vibe later. Yeah, is it a silly vibe? No, it's a good vibe. I'm appreciative of it.
Well, this is the Preaching Collective, and we got a sermon series that we'll be doing in Black Christian Women We Should Know. Pastor V, talk to us a little bit about the heartbeat behind that, why that series. Yeah. Love to hear that, and then we can kind of dive into the particular.
Why that, why now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, some ways I'm always, every year I do a sermon series related to Black history, particularly Black church history. And so the overall sense, a sort of conviction I really have is that Black church history is American history, and that it's not just sort of weird offshoot from like American church history. That, in fact, if we're to understand what the American church is, a full orb picture involves looking at the Black church. But also, I've made this point. I think we find some of the most authentic expressions of what Christian faith looks like from that tradition. Yeah. That often when we think of like who are the representatives of American Christianity, there's popular people that we look at, Edwards, Whitefield, et cetera, and I'm like, there's some good things about them, but there's some other things that are extremely problematic. That, in fact,
to say the least,
there's
actually to be very conservative with it.
Yeah, and so there's others we could look at that I think actually represent even more fully what authentic Christianity looks like. Yeah. I think we find that from the Black church. So that's sort of always a general thing I'm liking to do, wanting to do if I can every year. But when it comes to this particular topic, Black Christian women we should know, part of the idea of a series like this, and I've done something similar before, Black Christians You Should Know, sort of finding key figures and looking at elements of their lives that relate to biblical themes, biblical doctrines, and how those lives illustrate that. I think by focusing particularly on Black Christian women, it's a way of saying, here's a part of our history that is often overlooked, ignored, that even when we talk about Black church history, often we look at some key figures, key male figures, and they're great, but there's others who are also extremely significant that maybe aren't as noticed because, as often happens in history, the male figures get elevated and noticed. Here's women who represent things and values that are critically important for us to know. And then more generally, even, we're in a time when, sadly, a lot of our history, particularly history in these sort of areas of racial equality and justice, et cetera, is being dismissed. It's almost as if like we shouldn't talk about those things. We're over those things.
No, it's being removed.
Or being removed, yeah.
Not just domestically, but internationally. Yes. It's like just trying to remove.
Yeah, and that's history. To our detriment. Like I think the cliche, those who forget history are doomed to repeat it, is very true, and particularly in this area. Yeah. The reality is human history is rife with examples of inequality and oppression and prejudice. We'll always find ways to do it in all sorts of different directions. America has a particular history here that we need to reckon with. Not to say that that's not the only thing to draw from Black church history. There's other things as well, but obviously that's a key part. And I think Black Christian women are very important for us and helpful towards us to sort of see what's there and see what it looks like to be faithful in the midst of what's there.
Man, first off, before we get started, I just want to shout out to all the Black women in the world. Yes. Shout out to y'all. As the great theologian Tupac Shakur said, "You are appreciated." You are appreciated. We just wanted to start with that.
Come on, the late great.
The late great. Hey, listen,
Tupac.
who's the first lady we talking about, Pastor B?
So for today, I thought we would talk about Fannie Lou Hamer. So are you guys familiar with her?
Is it Hamer or Hammer?
I think it's Hamer.
It's Hamer? Okay.
It's pronounced Hamer.
Yeah, that's
Only
right.
one M.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Hamer.
No relation to MC Hammer.
Yes.
She got one
Just,
M.
you know what I'm saying? Fannie Lou Hamer.
Fannie Lou Hamer. So quick highlights from her life. She grew up as a sharecropper under Jim Crow. And obviously all the oppression and violence that happened in the Jim Crow era. Those are things she experienced. And then she became involved in voting rights struggle.
Yeah.
And so began to realize like this is, there's a quote from her that she felt like someone had lifted the chains off when she volunteered to register to vote after hearing people from the, basically from the voting organizations that were coming in to try to sort of make these things happen. SNCC, if you guys are familiar with that. That's the Student National. I'll do
Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee.
You. And so a lot of her life was really dedicated to helping people vote, helping black people be able to vote. Was violently harassed, and one of the most sad incidents in her life was arrested while she was attending voter training session in Mississippi. And put in jail in 1963 and was savagely beaten and with permanent injuries because of that.
There's something significant about that story, and that I think does need to be heard today.
Yeah.
The story is that there was lifelong damage, like to kidneys, vision, and chronic pain, because the police ordered black prisoners to beat her.
That's
crazy.
Yes.
So it wasn't like she went into jail and it was like white cops were beating her.
Yeah.
The institution had black men, other black people, beat her within like some short, like within inches of her life.
That's crazy.
Such that she had lifelong chronic pain from that. And it's that sort of like derangement that happens in seasons like this that I think is worth like being of note, right? Because people look at that and be like, oh no, black people did that. I go, yes, but no.
Right.
You know? In the sense that you create this kind of culture, bring somebody in it, and then you have people who have been shaped and formed under this like, you know, brutal environment. Yeah. They're treated like animals, therefore like moved like animals, and then have them kind of attack her like that is pretty savage.
Yeah. Well, I think part of what happened though too though was that I mean that's not meant to make an excuse for it, but often this happened during slavery where they'd say, you know, if you don't beat her,
that's what I'm saying.
We'll beat you, right? And I mean how. No, I mean,
or kill
you.
Yeah.
So I imagine just how horrible it is to know you're a black prisoner and you have sort of the white warden standing there saying, like, if you don't hit her hard enough, like I'm gonna kill her and kill you too.
Yeah.
And just I mean, it's terrible. And so that happened to her, and yet she doesn't give up. I mean, so her life is a life of obviously pain and injustice, et cetera, and yet she says she continues on even with what happened to her, and so she continues to fight for voter registration and very much key in getting the Voter Rights Act passed. There's some other interesting things she did later on, even after the Voting Rights Act passed in 1965. 1969, she founded the Freedom Farm Cooperative to provide economic opportunities for poor black families in Mississippi. And she very much tied that to, we'll get into her faith, that equality for people also involves making sure people are taken care of economically, people who are on the margins. Helped to start a Head Start program, a child care center, died in 1977. So there's one of the things, and that was just like, I just sort of did some quick research. And really
20 children too.
Sorry?
She's the youngest of 20 children.
Isn't that crazy?
Yes.
Wow.
20.
It's a lot of kids.
I mean, Nick Cannon ain't got nothing. Shout out, Nick, but I'm just saying.
No, shout out, Nick.
20 children, that's a lot. The youngest of 20. Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah, I got 5, and I'm like, woo. 20. So anyway,
I mean, I doubt all 20 were in the same. You know how stuff was back then, like
so
kids getting ripped out. But.
So there's a lot to draw from her life, and I think part of what we're doing here is I'm just interested to hear from you guys. I mean, what are things that stick out to you? And in particular, what I always do in these kind of sermons is sort of say, here's these biblical principles, and here's how they're illustrated, or here's how we can sort of understand them, even how that might look like. in someone's life through the life of a real life person, like Fannie Lou Hamer. So what are some things that you noticed from her life?
Yeah. I'm always interested in knowing like the why people get into certain activism work. I think one of the stories that we left out was she had, feminine issues, went in to get some things removed, and they it's what they call that. What is it?
Sterilized.
Yeah, they sterilized her.
Yeah.
And so a year later, then she goes in. She's like, "Hey, our voices need to be heard." That started her political.
That was without her consent.
Yeah, without her consent.
Yeah, she went in for
Absolutely.
one thing, and they went in. They called it the Mississippi appendectomy.
Appendectomy. Yeah,
She couldn't have children.
She could. No, she didn't. That's why she adopted the 4 later on in life. But yeah, I mean, to have your rights removed, obviously, that's something that we see in today's time. But this is something that propelled her into the work that she started doing, and I think that's amazing to know, like, something happening like that to you would propel you and would cause you to advocate for the rights of others. But I mean, this woman was incredible. I think a lot of her, I heard her quote, I believe it was the Isaiah, "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me," because, and of course she's not saying that she's Christ by any means, but her advocacy for the poor is like important. She's like, "I feel like God has called me to this." Like God has, and she was a singer too, so you already know. Like,
come on, girl.
I mean, hello, some of the songs we still sing in church, but yeah, she's just an incredible woman.
One thing too that I thought was interesting, just learning about her. I mean, there's some really cool themes from her bravery, from her courage, from her resilience, from her faith, from faith, but also just like this idea of faith in action.
Yeah.
Like she's like,
Yes.
it's not just like just praying like that. Says like, I'm gonna pray, but I'm gonna pray with my feet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And one thing though, she founded the MFDP, the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party. So in 1964, she co-founded this, which challenged Mississippi's all-white Democratic delegation.
Yeah.
I think that's very interesting because,
Built her own table.
Yeah.
we built our own table.
Her own table.
Like, but it's like the idea of like speaking truth to power.
Yeah.
And people that's, the all-white Democratic delegation, it's almost like no matter what party you want to quote unquote align yourself with, it's going to be like she's going to speak truth to power in that type of way. And so, anyways, those are some of the things that I think of those as we think about her and just some of the different attributes that she possessed. There's some really cool tie-ins to the Bible, and how that kind of like
what tie-ins are you seeing there in that particular example?
Oh, truth, speaking truth to power, courage, resilience. Again, faith in action. Like I mean, it's almost like just thinking about James, right? Where like faith without works is dead. Like not that like you do a bunch of good works in order to obtain salvation, obtain faith, but the faith that we actually have, the works that we do as a result of the faith that we claim that we have.
Yeah, but the Isaiah 58 passage about loosing chains of injustice, sharing your bread with the hungry, what kind of fasting?
Yeah,
it's like, okay, when you're in a season when there are churches legitimately like advocating for a kind of law, for a kind of separation, for a kind of like heinous sort of deference, right? One ethnicity is better than the other. I was doing some research on this, and the statement on social justice and the gospel came up. Because when I was looking at it, I was like, yeah, I want to see what was happening throughout history, but I know there's some of those veins, especially when we look at what's happening in our climate today, are still happening, right? When you think about the way food is being weaponized or being taken away in order to hold up agendas or to move an agenda one way or another. It's like, okay, well, people won't eat that depend on this unless you let us do it our way. And you heard people say like the reason we caved in some sense was because it hurt too much to see our people suffering in that way.
For sure.
Right. So in the same way overseas where aid wouldn't and this happens in war, aid won't be allowed to be given to one side because it's like, no, we'll just starve them out.
Yeah.
And to think like then it's very much the same thing where she was saying like food's being used as a weapon and being kept from us in order to move things or to do things a certain way, and for her to say, no, I'm going to create something in order to provide resources that aren't available. But then when you think about like the sort of like vein or the sort of energy that still kind of like fuels certain things, when I was looking at this, like the statement on social justice and the gospel came up, and I was just like,
would you describe what that is? Like who wrote it?
I don't know. It was MacArthur, Bauckham,
Vody Bauckham. Yeah.
Vody Bauckham's on the Allie Beth Stuckey signed it.
So to be for those who aren't sort of familiar with those names, these are sort of conservative Christians, and their statement is essentially one that say that the gospel doesn't promote social justice. Essentially, right?
Essentially, yeah. So let me see. Let me read the introduction. So it says, in view of questionable sociological, psychological, and political theories presently permeating our culture and making inroads into Christ's church, we wish to clarify certain key Christian doctrines, and ethical principles prescribed in God's word. Clarity on these issues will fortify believers and churches to withstand an onslaught of dangerous and false teachings that threaten the gospel, misrepresent scripture, and lead people away from the grace of God in Jesus
Not
Christ.
dangerous.
So, initially, hearing that, like, of course, I don't want that, right? I mean, it's just we're sitting here,
You're like, oh yeah,
for sure,
of course.
But then the things they'd identify as dangerous, we would say that seems to be pretty clear outworking of following Jesus, right?
Yeah.
And it was what felt like when you read through it, it feels like almost evangelical propaganda in a sense. In the way that you use language to affirm issues you agree with and then demonize issues you don't.
Yeah.
And it was super, super interesting when one of the things was like being pro-life, opposition to things like same-sex marriage or school choice or anti-CRT when that was a big deal. That seems to be okay. So when people are crusading in a sense and going around and having conversations and making sure that we make sure that these issues are dealt with, are fought against.
Those are central to the gospel.
Central, right? The Bible clearly...
Which are all social justice issues, which is funny. It's just which ones we pick.
But then in issues of policing or racial inequality or healthcare or immigration...
Those are bad.
All of a sudden...
We can't do that.
Issues are threatening central doctrines of the Bible.
So the gospel can only handle issues related to pro-life and school choice, but the gospel has nothing to say about issues
immigration. Bible says nothing. Prescribes nothing about the foreigner.
Wow.
Nothing about the traveler. Nothing about the stranger.
I think
the Bible prescribes nothing about that. That sort of language, and I read that, I go, that is... That to me felt like very intentionally misleading.
Well,
so you're saying like Fannie Lou Hamer is a way for us to kind of almost...
she would disagree with that.
Well, yeah.
But no, to come back to an actual faithful demonstration of gospel life. Someone like her, one, who was suffering. Like in the midst of heinous suffering. Like she would get fired. So being a sharecropper, like they would fire her and say, like, no, you can't do this anymore if you're gonna go try to vote. That's what she's dealing with. Then she's in jail. She gets arrested because she's at some workshop, and then she gets beat within an inch of her life. Then she still goes out and says, no, I'm going to speak on this, and creates this like Black Democratic sort of party, the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party, to say, no, there needs to be an antagonist to the lies that are like being sort of like spread throughout, and then stand on stage and say, things like, no, this cannot be America. Like even at that, when you hear the kind of language that says, oh no, that's not American, and you're going like, no, that's absolutely wrong. This goes back to the thing that I say about Juneteenth. It's a better demonstration of what faithfulness actually looks like when you tell people you are free, not to tell people, no, you need to be in subjugation.
There's a quote from her that sort of may take an angle off what you just said, just her ability to endure suffering and to I mean, obviously it was painful and hurtful, but her ability to see purpose in it, I find that really interesting. I'm sort of always thinking about this in terms of what can be really hard for people is when they're going through suffering and hardship, et cetera. And why is it happening? Why do these things keep coming and coming into my life, and how they sort of endure those things? And it's interesting. She almost saw suffering as it's not something that's going to silence her, but it's going to strengthen her. She saw purpose in it. And I think how powerful that is when you're able to see purpose in your suffering. So there's a quote here from her. She said, if I fall 5 feet 4 inches forward, which is just a great, if you understand what she's saying there.
That's
that,
wild, yeah.
You know, and then she's talking about how tall she is, right? And the sense of even if I suffer and even if I get hurt badly, I'm going to get hurt in a way that moves things forward. And that's good and that's okay.
Yeah.
And I think that's just sort of, as I sort of thinking of things I want to sort of draw out or pull from. And that's, I think so many people are looking for ways and categories of understanding the things that are happening in their lives. And there's sort of a lot of different directions. Some people sort of become really cynical. Some people become super depressed. Some people sort of give in to vices, right, as a way of sort of understanding things that happen to them. She's saying the things that happen to you have purpose, and they have purpose that actually bring about God's good in this world. And her life is a very much demonstration of that.
Yeah. I think it's also, I thought you were going to give the quote, I am sick and tired of being sick and tired.
I was waiting on it. I was waiting on it.
I wanted to serve that one up for you.
I was like, who go drop that one?
Hey, that's the one. I was
That's
like,
a
he going to
classic.
say it. Pastor going to say it. All right, he didn't do it, though. He didn't do it. But that's all right. But I think also with her, I think what also drove her is the representation. She wanted to make sure the voices, when we're talking about Americans, Black people are Americans, and our idea of what we want to see and the policies that we want to see put in place to protect people of color is important. So she's like, hey, we need representation, not just men, but also we need women. I think another one of her things that she started was I think it was the National Caucus for Women, to have them. And we see that today. Of course, there's a lot of women that are standing on her shoulders who are in the political realm, who's fighting for us. So I think, advocacy is important.
Yeah, and I think just in all the things we're talking about, just to feel is hopefully clear, I mean, her faith was a big driver behind what she did.
Without question.
It wasn't
Absolutely.
sort of
Without
a separate side
for sure.
thing. I mean, that her faith has very sort of practical demonstration in terms of the things. Motivation, demonstration, direction for why she did what she did. There's a quote from her here. She says, "The Lord is the only one who has ever given me courage. You can pray until you faint, but unless God helps you, you will not get through."
Come on, dependency on the Lord.
And so it's just, it really, I mean, I think you're saying that too. Another thing to sort of draw out here is the power of deep faith and connection to the Lord and what it allows you to do. That, I mean, they tried to kill her and it couldn't stop her efforts and her momentum. I mean, that's, most people should have been crushed by the things that happened to her. I think you're seeing sort of an example of the ways in which the Holy Spirit really strengthened her and empowered her, even in the midst of what she was facing.
I think too, regarding about her being like literally almost killed, I think she would have been killed if it wasn't for, was it Medgar Evers who actually also was killed in Mississippi during that time? It was like almost like this thing where like it would have put too much spotlight on Mississippi. And so while the like meetings and stuff was actually happening, Medgar Evers actually passes or dies. So the police stopped doing what they were doing to her. So it was almost kind of like that the death of Medgar Evers almost. Anyways, I just think that's kind of unique and wild in terms of I don't know, call it the providence of God. I don't know, but the unique thing too is I want to encourage people that don't feel like they got the right education, they don't got enough education, or whatever the case may be. This woman started working in the cotton fields at 6 years old. 6 years old. That's wild. That's crazy. Unbelievable. She dropped out of school at the age of 12 in order for her to offend for her family.
Help the family,
To help the family.
Talk about growing up too fast.
But
or like having to grow up really fast.
But then you listen to, as she got older, listen to her powerful speeches. I encourage her, go listen to them powerful speeches but then also how she's like able to like stand toe to toe with these politicians that got these degrees. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So I just want to encourage somebody
absolutely.
that feel like, I don't have enough intellectual assent. I don't have enough education. I don't have the degrees. I don't have whatever. God can use anybody to be able to accomplish his ultimate purposes.
And let me just add this too. I mean, once you go down that, journey and that of checking out these speeches, also listen to the songs and music that she did.
You would say that as a worship leader.
Oh my gosh, yes. But I mean, like like listening to her sing. These are songs that I grew up with, because like my mother sang some of these songs, and I didn't know Fannie Lou Hamer was the one who sang these songs. So you can go on the same like journey looking at all these speeches, but then when you listen to the music, her faith is absolutely like just steeped in her faith in God. So it's beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, I think the singing, this is true for the civil rights movement. She represents this. The singing was a way of sort of getting strength, comfort.
Negro spirituals.
There's active resistance as well. I think just how important, music is one of the key parts of the movement. It was central to the things that they were doing. I mean, I think you're familiar with the story of Martin Luther King Jr., right? And he, in the midst of some of his deepest suffering, he would call
Jackson, Mahalia Jackson.
Yes, Mahalia Jackson, and she would sing over the phone. How important that was, just in general, and I think Fannie Lou Hamer represents that.
What would be some of the like key takeaways people who aren't familiar with Fannie Lou Hamer should take away? One of the things that I just come to when you read a story like hers is you can't separate, like gospel and life, right? And the way language sort of gets tainted, contaminated is probably the best way to say it, such that you can't say things like the gospel is social, because it starts to trigger people. But in reality, like, in what world and in what Bible do you read otherwise?
Yeah.
Right? That faithfulness to God does not mean some sort of investment, care, attention paid to the community.
Yeah.
Like to real people, to real suffering, to real problems, such that, again, there's one thing in saying like, make the moves, everybody's on a journey, right? Everybody's on a timeline. But when things are called out, right? When there's a real conversation, when there's a national conversation, all the debate, all the resistance, all the statements to be written and say, oh, no, this is false teaching. Or no, this is not, this is getting off course from the centrality of the core gospel, and what supposedly it defines based on our understanding of it, what should and shouldn't be done. What are some of those things that you feel like people should be taken away from her life?
Here's at least 4 key takeaways I just think of as I think about Fannie Lou as a model, an example for resilience, for faith, all that. Pray like Hamer, act like Hamer, her social action, stuff that she was doing. Speak like Hamer, powerful speeches that she was doing, if you got those giftings to do that. And sing like Hamer.
That's good.
Sing like Hamer.
Cool.
Well, probably not as well as her, but
it won't be as well.
No.
But I'm just saying.
Right.
Those are at least 4 things just as I think about
just
it.
make a joyful
Pray,
noise. Okay?
act, speak, and sing.
Yeah. I think
I see what you did there.
Preacher. That's a Baptist preacher.
He knows me well.
I've heard one.
He knows me well.
Make it connect. I think when I think about her, I think about the Proverbs 31 woman, but not from the verses 10 through on. I think about Proverbs 31, 8 and 9, and I want to read this. Speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves. Ensure justice for those being crushed. Yes, speak up for the poor and helpless and see that they get justice. I think this is a woman who like lived that, who embodied that. And obviously we can tie in so many more scriptures. You can, like I was thinking about who were the 5 daughters who went in to Moses and was like, hey, we want the land that our father left because there was no sons. I think about her advocacy in that. I think about so many different characters in the Bible that we can say like, wow, like the Spirit of God was really with this woman.
Yeah.
And I think that's, we can't remove that regardless if you want to call it politics, but the Spirit of God was with this woman because she literally put her body and her life on the line for those who she would never see benefited, which, anyway, I'll end there.
Well, this is good, man. This is good. I'm glad to be back with the Preaching Collective, man. For real, man. This is going to be, I'm looking forward to this, man. Especially as we continue to talk about all the different Black women that have contributed to the faith in mighty, mighty ways. And so we want you to continue to tune in, like, share, comment, and let us know what you think, especially if you, have some information as well about Fannie Lou. Get in the comments. Let us know what you think about it. Add some perspective. Or if you never heard about her, whatever, if this was helpful for you, make sure you let us know. And so
share it with somebody.
Let people know. We're trying to get the word out. So with that said, this is the Preaching Collective. Grace and peace.